Okay, so now we're talking about all this weather. Let's first of all just ask, is this extremely rare, or is it something that we're seeing happening more and more?
Well, over the last few years, it is something we've been seeing more and more, but it still is rare. And, you know, to see things like flooding happening the day before Spring Day, which is tomorrow, of course, the 1st of September, is very unusual. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be changing. That change is going to continue to get worse and worse over the next coming years, you know, the next decade or anything like that. In fact, it could recede, it could get better and better. But it's like Mr. Opperman said, it's in constant cycle. So what you need to watch out for is a change in the cycle and not a change in the weather.
Okay, so how extreme is this really? We've been seeing such extreme weather in the Cape and how it's been affecting people, thousands of people being affected. So, but how extreme or how rare how problematic is this, should I put it that way?
Well, it's very problematic because as South Africans, we're actually very lucky to have quite mild weather. We live in a place where we don't get many tornadoes, we don't get anything near on the scale of, say, the US, weather-wise. So we generally don't prepare for things this bad. When floods do occur, we're not very well prepared for them. Well, let's say not as well as we could be. And especially the people who are not necessarily as educated as they should be, they can't possibly prepare for it without foreseeing it. And, you know, extreme weather in its nature is unforeseeable.
Okay, so tell us about the snow on Table Mountain and the Boerland covered in snow. I mean, that's quite rare for our country. That's
very rare. I actually think it's quite amazing. But very cold conditions obviously caused by that. It could be colder. I mean, snow only forms between certain temperatures and it could be colder than that. But obviously, like I say, this is not normal at all to have snow on Table Mountain, especially the day before Spring Day. The cycles, we have seen gradual changes in these cycles. So we may be seeing that more and more often. The snow on the Cape Highlands, though, we do see that almost every year. Maybe not to this extent, but we do.
Okay, so can we put this down to climate change?
Not necessarily. Well, it's like I was saying, and Mr. Opperman was saying, the cycles. And these cycles aren't year to year. They happen over 10,000 years, 20,000 years. And, you know, it's between ice ages and things like that. And we only started noticing these changes in the cycles very recently, well, relatively recently. And they've been going on since the beginning of time. So to say that it's global warming or global climate change is accurate. Yes, the climate's always changing. Global warming as a result of people, not necessarily. That is a theory that many people agree with, but it is still just a theory.
Okay, so you're talking about these cycles. Can you pin down the next cycle and say it's going to be extreme heat in the next one, or do you just take it as it comes?
Impossible. Okay. It's completely impossible to say exactly when the next cycle is going to happen. But these are happening over lifetimes and generations, in fact. So, you know, to say next year it's going to be a lot warmer or next year it's going to be a lot colder, absolutely impossible.
Okay, Philip, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. We've run out of time. That was